All right, we're gathered again today for another Q&A session. This is March the 3rd, 2025. And most of this presentation today will probably be devoted to a talk on Moringa by Dr. Kristina Carman. I'm going to turn it over to her and let her introduce herself and then go on with this lecture. If we do have time at the end, we can do some Q&A or a case presentation. Kristina, take it away.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Kristina Carman. I'm a naturopathic doctor, nutritional therapist, and trained functional medicine practitioner. I also have a really extensive background in herbal medicine and medical herbalism. So I love that we are talking about moringa because it's a powerful and wonderful plant that has many, many uses. So let's kick start. So this is just a brief little introduction. Moringa is often called the miracle tree, simply because it's such a nutrient-dense plant. And it's really widely used for its medicinal and nutritional therapeutic benefits. The beauty about moringa is that you can use the whole plant from the root to the shoots to the flower to the leaves. And all of these different parts of the plant can be used for different clinical presentations. I didn't actually put all of that into my talk today because I wanted to make sure that we had time at the end for questions and things. But if you guys are curious about specific parts of the plants that can be used for, kind of clinical application, we can definitely discuss that. So key nutrients that we look at, I always go for nutrition first. When we're looking at the moringa and the moringa leaves, typically you tend to have the dried leaves and it is usually made into a powder form. You can take it in a supplement form, but typically it's a powder supplement that you get. It does contain protein, high amounts of vitamin C, which is excellent, really rich in beta carotene, vitamin A, calcium and iron. And then also potassium, magnesium, zinc, B vitamins, which really supports that sort of metabolism and energy production, and really rich in polyphenols and antioxidants. So why it's so unique is that unlike many plant foods, actually moringa contains all 9 essential amino acids. So it can be a really valuable sort of a full or complete plant protein for vegetarians and vegans, if that's something if you are treating the or looking after sort of that kind of patient base, but also a really beautiful way to sort of balance out our omnivores as far as the different types of amino acid sources and how they're getting it. So it's a really beautiful way to kind of layer that into people's diet. The moringa leaves are really highly nutritious, so considered a superfood. I think all healthy food should be considered superfoods these days, given how poorly most people eat, right? So some of the health benefits that we look at, or what we should consider when we're looking at moringa or the use of moringa, obviously it's a very powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory. So it's rich in quercetin, which helps to reduce the oxidative stress and inflammation, and can help the chronic diseases like diabetes and heart disease and neurodegenerative disorders. It also, interestingly enough, can help reduce exercise-induced oxidative stress. So it could be a really useful one for athletes. There's some research around its use or support with blood sugar regulation. So it contains chlorogenic acid, which can improve insulin sensitivity and lower blood glucose levels. There's some studies now showing that moringa actually reduces the post-meal glucose spike. So you can have it, as like a little shot pre-meal. It could be really beneficial. This could be a really useful one for diabetics and those who have insulin resistance, which is many people now. There's a lot of research now around the use of moringa and hormonal balance and thyroid support. So containing the compounds that really modulate the thyroid function can be useful for hypothyroidism and hormonal balances or imbalances. Some may increase estrogen levels in menopausal women due to its phytoestrogen properties. However, excessive intake may suppress T4 to T3 conversion. So those who are on thyroid medicine or medication should use it cautiously, or you can time it so that it's taken away from your medications. There was actually an email, I think, JP, from one of your lovely nurses last week about a patient, I think, and we can maybe talk about her case at the end, where she is taking thyroid medication as far as I understand, and then also taking Moringa, and she would break out in a rash. So there is some contraindication, and I think that's really important to remember when we're talking about these beautiful herbs and adaptogens, is that they can be really very powerful, and as powerful in some cases as medication. So we do have to just make sure that we have some understanding on how we're using them, and how we're advising our patients on how to use them as well. It's not necessarily a no, you can't use it. It's just a little bit of maybe awareness and education around its use around medications. There is some it can be very cardiovascular supportive, so reduces the LDL cholesterol simply because of its fiber content, and its antioxidant content. So it really improves that blood pressure regulation due to its high potassium and fiber. I actually have a young patient at the moment. He's in his 30s and he has extremely, extremely high blood pressure and has had for a very long time, and is really, really wanting to go much more of a natural route rather than go down conventional med route. And we've actually started him on some Moringa, and really remarkable improvement in his blood pressure. So pretty amazing. He's been taking it every day. It's been pretty amazing, along with some omegas, and we're putting some other nutraceuticals in place to really support him. It can be very helpful from a digestive and gut health perspective. So it acts as a natural prebiotic because of that fiber content of feeding that beneficial gut bacteria. It can aid in digestion and reduce constipation, again, due to that fiber content. I will say a little caveat to that is make sure that if you are advising patients to use it in this kind of context, that they are drinking plenty of fluids. Whenever we introduce larger amounts of dietary fiber, even from a supplemental perspective, what ends up happening is it binds water. We're trying to bind more water into the colon to create bulk to the stool, and the fiber will draw that.
I think it's term out.
Oh, was that me? No. It creates to create that bulk to the stool, so we really need to make sure that your patients are really hydrated, and that is definitely something to to recommend alongside certainly any kind of fiber supplement, but use it alongside using the Moringa as well. It's very anti-inflammatory, so it can be really helpful with conditions like IBS or even gastritis. And it has liver detox and protection aspects. So Moringa enhances that liver enzyme activity, promoting detoxification. This is another reason why sometimes it can be a bit contentious with thyroid medications, because of the similar action between the conversion of that T4, T3. It's very, very rich here in polyphenols, protecting that liver from oxidative stress, and it may lead or may aid in heavy metal detox and reduce liver damage. You can use the Moringa or mixed Moringa with chlorella powder if you really want to kind of do a heavy metal detox with your patients. Just know that to start off slow and low and kind of work up, because they may get some Herx reactions as a result of that. It can be quite powerful. It can be very immune system boosting, so very high in vitamin C. This is an excellent, excellent one to add in. Iron, very rich in iron, very rich in zinc content, so it makes it a very excellent source for that immune system and immune function. It also has natural antimicrobial and antifungal compounds, which may really be helpful to fight infections. This is the fun one: skin, hair, and anti-aging benefits. It's very rich in those antioxidants and polyphenols. Moringa reduces the signs of aging by preventing collagen breakdown. So it's really very supportive from that perspective. It is high in sulfur, so it does support the keratin production, promoting hair growth and strong nails, and may reduce acne due to its antibacterial properties. All right, so potential risks and contraindications. So some side effects here that we need to look at and to consider, obviously, here is important. May lower blood sugar too much. So it can interact with diabetes medications, increasing the risk of hypoglycemia. It does have a mild laxative effect due to the high fiber content, so may cause some bloating and diarrhea. The bloating in particular is really a hydration picture, so I would definitely recommend increasing hydration for those patients. But it does create some movement, particularly for those that are sensitive. As mentioned before, it may interfere with thyroid function. There is some evidence that suggests that even though it is helpful for the thyroid, it can also inhibit the conversion between T4 and T3, particularly for those patients that are already taking some medication. Possible liver enzyme interaction, so may increase drug metabolism affecting medication efficacy. So drug supplement interactions, just to kind of watch out here for, we're looking at thyroid medications, so Synthroid, your Armour-thyroid, levothyroxine and levothyroxine. Again, the Moringa may impact that thyroid hormone metabolism, and it's best to be taken at least 4 hours apart from thyroid medication. So again, here it comes like, it's not a no, it's just how are we advising patients. And I would also, have the conversations with the patients, letting them know, like, these can be still very powerful. So start off low and slowly to kind of gauge tolerance, particularly if they're new to taking the medication as well. Introducing too many things at once can, often we don't know, is it medication they're reacting to, or is it something else they're reacting to, or even from a diet perspective, like we kind of have to peel back those layers and figure out what are they doing and what might be, causing some of those symptoms that they're facing. Diabetes medications, looking at metformin, insulin, GLP-1 antagonists as well. Just be careful with those. Again, it's not a no, it's just how are you dosing those, making sure that maybe they're taking the Moringa with some food or before a meal. Because Moringa does enhance the glucose lowering effects and can increase that hypoglycemia. Looking at blood pressure medications can lower the blood pressure further, leading to dizziness or hypotension. Looking at anticoagulants like warfarin, aspirin, these sort of medications, it does have a blood thinning action, so just be cautious with these patients. Moringa contains vitamin K. And then obviously fertility and pregnancy considerations. You can use Moringa in these cases, but again, I think if you're unfamiliar with it, just be cautious. Obviously, we don't test, extensively on pregnant women, but there is, it can be supportive, but they do suggest that the bark extract in particular should be avoided in pregnancy, as it may cause uterine contractions. The leaves, however, are generally safe in food amounts, but just be cautious. Okay, so how to use Moringa. Most common is the powder form. That tends to be my favorite. It's easy to mix into lots of different things. You can make energy balls and roll energy balls in Moringa powder. It's quite a nice way of getting that in there. Capsules, you can have tea, like dried leaf tea. I often will dry the leaves and steep it as a tea. It's really, really nice. And you can get fresh leaves as well if available. Not always that easy to come by though. When to take Moringa. So morning, typically for energy and metabolism support. I generally recommend with food to improve absorption and prevent stomach upset, particularly for those that are sensitive. So if you're taking it in a powder form, have a smoothie, in a smoothie with something else potentially, or if you're mixing it and if you're just having it with some water, I always put some lemon and then have a meal or something with it as well. Typically, I recommend avoiding taking it at night, as it can be a little bit too stimulating. There we go, guys. That way I flew right through that. Look at that. How do I stop share? Oh, there, that one. There we go. Okay.
Well, fantastic. Yeah, you blew through that. That was
I know.
fast.
I wanted to, because I have this problem where I go a bit too crazy with my slides and I add too many things and then I end up going over. So I timed myself. I'm
You
like,
did good.
want to leave time for everyone to
Yeah.
chat and say hello, and then I get to see you guys as well.
Yeah, of course, this recording will be posted sometime tomorrow or the day after, and I also have Kristina's slide deck, so I'll post that as well. Just check back on your original invitation. It'll be there with a link to the Rumble where the video will be, this video. So I posted, I didn't see too many people posting questions in the chat, so I took the liberty of posting a few. Just want to make everyone aware that Moringa is an adaptogen herb. So it's in a special family. And when I wrote my book in 2006, it wasn't considered. So there were only about 24 adaptogens or 25, depending on who you ask, back in the early 2000s. But now I think that number has grown significantly, and Moringa has been added to that because of its properties that Kristina had gone over. Now I saw a listing for liposomal Moringa. Now, do you have any comments on the liposomal version?
I haven't come across that, to be honest. I think I get a bit old school when it comes to using herbs, and I really love the powder form, just because of its versatility. But that doesn't mean a liposomal form wouldn't be great. I mean, it can be
Yeah.
effective. I typically, I mean, again, let me know what you think of my understanding here is typically I find that those that have difficulties when we do gut testing, those that have difficulty sort of metabolizing fats tend to do better on a liposomal type supplement than anything else, just simply because of the way that their bodies are digesting or lack of, stomach acid, lack of sort of the specific digestive enzymes that are needed. So that's kind of my understanding with it, but I would imagine that even in a powder form, they would still be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I do a tea. I do a Moringa tea.
Love it.
And I think that a liposomal version wouldn't necessarily cause any harm to anybody. I don't think so. I think it would enhance absorption, especially those with intestinal permeability or a disrupted, microbiome or something like that. Because we see that with in other cases. The other question I put in there was the conversion issue with T4 to T3. Do we know if this causes a rise in reverse T3?
So I did a little bit of research on this. Let me just see if I can pull that up because when I got the email last week from your lovely nurse, I was like, I need to figure this out. So hang on. Now I have to exit this. Hang on. Let me see if I can pull up that research that I found. The other thing I just wanted to add, guys, with the taking it in capsule form, you might get over the taste. Some people don't find the taste very pleasing to with moringa just because it's quite earthy, and I think grassy is another one.
Hmm.
Where else? I can't find it now.
But I was surprised. I did a quick mini Medline search while Christina's looking for that. And Moringa Tea, Gift of Nature, a review of nutritional and industrial potential. This was a paper that was, found in the NIH. It was an NIH supported study that was published in 2022 in the current pharmacological REP, whatever that means. I don't know. It's a medical journal of some sort. Um, so it's nice when we see things in the published peer-reviewed literature. So I will probably try to post that article as well. And that was
Okay.
just a quick search.
Yeah, here we go. I've pulled it up. So moringa's effect on thyroid hormone metabolism. So it influences this T4 to T3 conversion. And in some studies, it's showing a goitrogenic effect. So if moringa is enhancing that T3 conversion or altering absorption, it can trigger an overstimulation or an imbalance in the thyroid function. So it could then lead to sort of like an inflammatory or a histamine response. It also obviously has this liver detoxification pathway overload. So because of its action on the liver, it may particularly influence this phase one liver detoxification, which then obviously will affect similarly to how your thyroid medication would sort of pass through this activation or this conversion. So if the liver is then simultaneously processing, obviously, moringa and then medication, it could create a buildup of these metabolites. That's kind of what I pulled up as far as the research is concerned. Again, please, anyone chime in on further understanding, but that's kind of what I gathered from what I researched.
Well, apparently it has an effect on the HPA axis and the gonadal hormones as well. And there's a new fad going around amongst people, the elite kind of athletes, the CrossFitters and folks that are bodybuilders. They're taking T2. I guess they're getting that compounded. So they're taking T2 in addition to peptides and some other things to enhance their performance. Apparently T2 will cause, muscle growth and weight loss. So without getting, I guess, too hyperthyroid. So I will keep an eye out for any of my T2 folks that are taking Moringa and kind of run full panels on them just to make sure that everything's in order. Same with the reverse T3 on people taking that with or without their thyroid medications. So
Would
we
you sort of liver detoxification and those kind of, or even, testing for histamine intolerance or mast cell sort of activation? Would you do any sort of gut testing or anything like that to see how they're reacting? Is that kind of the root?
Sure, so this is just an aside on the moringa use with any hormone affecting agents. But as far as MCAS, I think MCAS is, and I've given a lecture on that, is very underdiagnosed. I had an inquiry just this evening about the possibility of that with a patient. So you have to keep an open mind and have the radar on for MCAS, especially in the post-COVID era, where we see the SARS-CoV-2 virus can affect that, and people with chronic stealth infections are susceptible to MCAS. And it's probably been around a lot longer than we give it credit for, just unrecognized. Now we're sort of recognizing it. There's overlap with some other disorders. We do have Dr. Alicia Logan. She put something in the comments section. If she's still on, oh yeah, hey, good to see you. So if you want to come off the mic and then ask your question directly, that would be great.
Oh, sure. Hey, Christina, this is an awesome talk. Really good. Thank you for all that information. I just wanted to ask you if you had any experience using Moringa as a galactagogue. I actually first heard about Moringa for increasing breast milk supply, so I didn't know if you had any experience with that.
Yeah, absolutely. We use fenugreek as well. The two together are fabulous. Really, really, really wonderful. I can speak from experience because it worked really well for me with my first baby. So, yes, 100%.
Yeah, and incidentally, I noticed the month I was taking it, I lost weight. And so I don't know if that was like just a byproduct of the breastfeeding or if it was the combination of that with the moringa.
It
But
could be
yeah,
the-
it was wonderful.
Yeah, it could be a good combo of all of it. Wait, did you just recently have baby as well? I think I haven't seen you in a long.
Yes, I had twins. That's why I was off camera. I was actually putting them to sleep. This is their bedtime, but they're in the bed now. But yes, I had twins. They're one now.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Congratulations.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great. That's great to know because I had a new patient mother this past week, and she we asked about breastfeeding and all that, and she said she did it for about 4 or 5 months until she kind of went dry. So that's good to know. Keep that in your list of things to recommend when mothers are breastfeeding and their milk production starts to go down and they want to go for a year or whatever.
I'll give you guys a little tip on how you can just as an example of what I do in the mornings with my moringa because it doesn't taste fabulous. Okay, it's really it's quite earthy. So I love basil seeds. They're very, very rich in iron and fiber and antioxidants and protein. I like them better than chia seeds. So I will soak some basil seeds. Once they're soaked and they plump up like chia seeds do, I'll mix a little bit of my moringa and I take spirulina as well. I'll put some cinnamon and then I'll put some hemp seeds, some pomegranate seeds, some blueberries. Sometimes I'll also sprinkle some bee pollen, just again to get that nice sort of honeyish taste, and I'll have that as my breakfast. And it's really rich in protein, really rich in healthy fats, and it's getting that moringa and the beautiful rich antioxidants in there. And it's a really nice balanced breakfast. And sometimes I'll have some scrambled eggs or something like that with it, but typically that's what I'll have as a breakfast. It's a nice little. You can always mix it with some yogurt as well, or other seeds and nuts if you want to kind of increase that sort of protein and healthy fat content. It's a good way to get it in. It kind of cuts out that the earthiness. Or
Right.
into a smoothie is a really nice one. So with some other fruits that are really, lush and in flavor, mix it.
Yeah, I think you probably answered the next question, but maybe I'll get Dr. David Calderwood who put what do you start with? You do it in a smoothie, and how about the seeds? So, David, you want to come off and mute and ask a little bit more?
What, yeah, would you repeat that, your breakfast combo and other ways that make it palatable besides your breakfast
I
combo?
need to put a little recipe card together, guys. No, I will make like a Buddha bowl or a breakfast bowl with all sorts of different things. So you could the moringa is really nice as a smoothie. So typically, let's say for example, I'll use some almond milk or coconut water or something like that. I will put some other green veg in there. I'll usually use like a mixed berry, a bag of mixed berries, like frozen berries. And then I'll put a teaspoon of moringa powder that I've mixed with some spirulina and pop
You
that.
said a teaspoon?
Yeah, about a teaspoon. I would start low and slow because it does have a laxative effect. So if you're not used to taking a lot of sort of fiber or sort of nutrient dense kind of foods, particularly, if we have patients that are on really standard American diet and we stick all these beautiful things in there, they're going to be like, whoa, what's going on? So I would start really low and slow. So just do half a teaspoon maybe initially, and then you can kind of work your way up from there. Less is more with moringa. You don't actually need as much. I certainly find it's quite strong and it's very concentrated because of the way that the powder is milled. So you don't need as much as you think you do. Plus, it will ruin the taste of whatever you're making. It's really very strong, and I don't want to knock it and discredit it. It's just very grassy, like a barley grass or a spirulina or a chlorella. It's like a kind of very strong sort of earthy taste. So it's best if you kind of mix it with something else. I mean, if you're brave, and I do this sometimes, I will just have a glass of water and I'll mix the moringa into a glass of water, squeeze some lemon and a little bit of raw honey, and I'll drink it like that. And you can, and but I'm a bit of a tough nut when it comes to those kind of things. And I don't mind it so much, but some people will really be like, "Ew, well, that's gross." So mix it with, a berry smoothie, a half a teaspoon of the moringa, and add in, some other agents in there if you want to. Smoothie is a really nice one because you can really layer in a lot of the nutrition and hide, particularly with kids or teens, hide a lot of good things in there and make sure that they're kind of getting it. So you can add in some nut butters, you can add in the hemp seeds or the hemp hearts to really increase the fat and the protein. You can put protein powder in there if that's your thing, or you make your own natural protein powder. I'm a big proponent of that rather than buying the expensive stuff on the market. It's really easy that way, and that's a really nice kind of grab and go. And you can make it ahead of time, which is really nice. Just store it in the fridge and you can have it ready for the next morning.
Great. Now, your other recipe that you gave was basil seeds,
Basil,
moringa.
yeah, like the plant, basil plant.
Right.
It's part of the seeds. The seeds you can actually soak them, and they plump up like chia seeds. They're
Okay.
actually a little bit more nutrient dense than chia seeds, and I personally like them more than chia seeds.
Hmm.
Um,
And then you had cinnamon and hemp seeds and bee pollen, and what else did you put in that?
Pomegranate seeds and blueberries usually.
Okay, great.
So you could, for example, make that smoothie, guys, and make it thicker, and then use that as a base. And then on the top, you can put some basil seeds and some extra berries, and suddenly you have a really lush breakfast.
Okay, and have you used the moringa seeds at all?
I usually will use them as part of a tea. So with the leaves and the seeds, I'll kind of crush them a bit with a pestle and mortar and put them into like a little tea siepper. I typically will have them that way. They're a little bitter, so I wouldn't normally like eat them in any other way. But the moringa tea is really nice, even like as a post meal. So sometimes the moringa seeds and the leaves, and you can also mix or you can crush some fennel seeds. And in fact, actually, in Ayurvedic medicine or in Ayurvedic culture or in Eastern culture, they would chew fennel seeds post meal to really help stimulate digestion, and to break down meals that were very heavy in fats. It's a really lovely one to kind of layer in. And then you can put some ginger in there, and suddenly you have a really gorgeous tea, and you're getting a lot of those nutrients. So it's really easy to incorporate these herbs into your diet, and it really can support digestion, particularly for those that tend to be a bit sensitive or eat very quickly, and it helps to kind of digest, and sort of the motility action of moving things through the whole GI tract is really important.
Great. Thank you.
Hey, Wanda, saw you put a comment in it that Wanda's a big, like into flowers and plants, and she has a bunch of trees in her yard. So she says she has a 30-foot moringa tree. So tell us your story, Wanda.
Well, yeah, we're in Arizona, but we moved from California a few years ago, and I had a moringa plant that was like maybe 2 feet tall in a pot. And my husband planted it, and the next year it grew like, 15 feet, and now it's like, 20, 30 feet. So we give the leaves to our chickens. It is a strong flavor. I mean, sometimes I sprinkle some in a salad or something like that, or steep the leaves as a tea. But I have a friend who swears that the seeds, you have it comes in those pods, and then they're dry. You have to peel the husk off the seed. But my friend swears that eating 5 moringa seeds per day keeps her blood pressure regulated. Like, she doesn't have to take any blood pressure medication. So I don't know if you have any comment about that.
With this young chap, with my patient at the moment, it's been really remarkable using the moringa, and his blood pressure. I mean, it was like through the roof, really, really, really awful, and high cholesterol, and just some real big challenges for him. And he's been taking moringa for the last 6 months, and it's made a remarkable difference in his blood pressure. So yeah, it's a good one.
Okay. I think
Good.
Deborah said she has moringa trees too, but they grow really fast once you plant it in the ground. And
Rich soil.
Arizona, yeah, they love hot weather too. It's in full sun, and it's one of my really rugged trees that survives the triple digits here. So it's a great.
You need to start a little side business and sell the leaves as tea.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Side hustle. Why not?
Side hustle. Yep.
Well, it's
Fabulous.
funny you guys mentioned hypertension or high blood pressure because Gail Makos, I think, is posted a question in the chat box about using it for treating hypertension. Gail, do you want to ask that? Any further questions on that?
Sure. I was just wondering if there was some kind of renin-aldo kind of axis that the moringa tea works on. I was wondering about the pathophys of that.
I'm not 100% sure on that one.
Okay. Thanks.
Neither.
Great
Yeah,
lecture.
I'd have to dig on that one too. I think because this is becoming more and more popular, I think it's worth us clinicians doing more research and trying to dig some stuff up in the literature if we can find it.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can.
And the other thing is many patients that have renin and aldo issues, and like a primary aldo kind of situation, have a low potassium. So with the potassium increase that they have with that too, it might be just curing that, which would be awesome, rather than some kind of other intervention. And right now, the only thing you have is adaptogen. So something more natural sure would be a wonderful thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm gonna look into that one.
Very good. Well, if there are no other questions, let's see. David has another one. How do you make your protein powder?
I knew that question was gonna get asked. I knew David was gonna ask that question. Okay, so guys, I will use ground almond flour. I will use ground, I'll send you the recipe, and JP, feel free to share it with everybody. I will use ground flax seeds. I will take actual pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds and ground them in a little, like a coffee grinder, or you can put them in a little blender. Just make sure it doesn't get too hot, because actually it can affect the the sunflower seeds that way. So grind them down. What else do I put in there? I do ground chia seeds. And sometimes I will mix like some collagen powder or something like that in there as well. And I'll just mix it all together into a little, like a mason jar, and then I'll just store it in the fridge. And then I can take a scoop or two of that into my smoothies. So basically you just make your own. It's so much cheaper. And if you still want to add like a whey protein powder or something like that, you can, but at least this way you know you're getting a lot of those really beautiful plant enzymes as well. And you're getting the really rich fiber sources that these plants can offer. And it can help, you know, excuse me, and I will add the hemp hearts in there. I love hemp seeds. I think they're fantastic. They're real nutrient powerhouses. So I'll mix all that together and make sure it's really nice and blended so it's, you know, doesn't so it dissolves really well into a smoothie or a porridge or my basil seed bowl that I'll have in the morning. So yeah, I love making my own, and I'll make enough for like a week or two, and it just stores in the fridge in a mason jar. And my kids will use. I've got teenage boys, so they make a protein shake before they leave for school, and I will often use that. Sometimes I'll even put a scoop of that into if I'm making like a banana cake or a banana bread or something. I'll put a nice big scoop or two of that in there just to kind of again increase the nutrient density, but also increase the protein content.
Very good. So you keep it stored in a mason jar. This is the dried powder, and then you keep it in the fridge, correct?
Right.
Okay. So I think we got a picture of Wanda's tree.
Oh my goodness, that's incredible. Gosh, look at all the flowers. Wow, that's amazing.
What did you say you use with it to improve lactation?
So
Fenugreek.
with fenugreek. So it's that's very much an Indian spice.
Thank you.
And used for eons and eons. But again, very, very strong, very pungent, but excellent. You can take fenugreek capsules as well. So for those patients that don't really want to make it into a tea or a tincture, capsules is fine as well.
Yeah, I think a warning about fenugreek and moringa during pregnancy probably frowned upon, but
Just infections,
but yeah, after pregnancy breastfeeding, I think it's a-okay.
yeah, absolutely. And also there's a big change or and postpartum between the exchange between zinc and copper. And these nutrients are very rich in these trace minerals. So it's a really beautiful way to kind of replace that and replenish that. A lot of women who struggle with postpartum issues, or postpartum depression in particular, have an issue with this zinc copper exchange. And this is a really nice one to kind of layer in to those patients and really kind of increase the nutrition naturally.
Okay, fantastic. Are there any other questions?
Quickly, just a side note, I see all those flowers. The flowers are amazing for throat infections. So you can dry the flowers and you can make it into like a little, I should send you the recipe for this as well. I can dig it out and send it to you. You might have to make it ahead of time, but you dry the flowers and then use like an activating agent, like a little bit of like a brandy or a little bit of alcohol or something, and you let it sit for a long period, like 6 weeks or something, so it actually sort of infuses, and you can use it as a tincture, like a spray for the throat. For throat infections, can be really, really medicinal.
Nice.
But I can see if I can dig out the recipe and send it to you.
That would be great. That would be great. Yeah, the
Yep.
hummingbirds love it, and
Oh,
yeah.
Even for, you think it would help with strep throat?
yeah.
How about measles?
Mm.
I'm just joking.
Oh my God, the measles yesterday. Oh.
I
Well,
think
look, moringa is really rich in vitamin A, and we know
yeah,
that
I was gonna say everyone's
one that
talking
we
about
look at when it comes to measles, right?
right high dose vitamin A. Yeah, that's what
Vitamin A. Just 2-3 days, honestly, it can be remarkably helpful.
Very good. So we've got a few minutes left. If anyone wants to present anything interesting they've seen or discuss anything else before we wrap up? And listen, Kristina, thank you so much. That was a great lecture. This will be posted, the recording as well as your slide deck and any kind of recipe book you want to get started on.
Okay. I'll send you guys the protein powder recipe for sure. Okay. And anyone else that's interested in the little, throat spray tincture, very similar to elderberry. You can use them both quite interchangeably with any kind of ear, nose, throat stuff going on, which is 'tis the season. So it's a nice one to have on hand. And then make fire cider as well, guys. Have that ahead of time. Have your winter sort of arsenal ready with all these beautiful medicinal things that can really support your body.
I do have a question. There's so much EBV reactivation with COVID and long COVID. What are people finding most successful in treating EBV reactivations?
Well, David, I like to make sure people are on low dose naltrexone. I use that a lot in my silent viral and stealth infection patients. Um, Monolaurin is very good as an antiviral for chronic use. And then medicinal defractions of medicinal mushrooms is another thing we recommend to our patients.
That was one that I was going to suggest. I like that one, but I'll put in some antimicrobials as well. You can use things like allicin, which is the constituent or compound constituent of garlic. You can use some oregano oil. These all are really can be really powerful and support the gut terrain. That's really big with EBD. But also use the leaves of moringa leaves. That can be really helpful. There's a lot of, I can see if I can dig up the research again, but if you use only the leaves, it can be really helpful for like UTIs, for Epstein-Barr virus, for herpes reactivation. These sort of viral kind of infections can be really helpful for.
Can I ask a measles question?
Oh,
Since
yeah,
you
this is open forum. Go right ahead.
Okay, so I have a large population of unvaccinated children, ranging from 1 week old until young adolescents, and so I've ordered some liquid vitamin A for my clinic. I found a protocol from the WHO that you could use to dose them. But does anybody else have any recommendations? I know that a lot of my parents are watching the news and they're very fearful. And of course, I kind of, I hear and see that a lot. So, any other guidance other than the vitamin A for, prophylaxis or early intervention?
D.
Mm.
Vitamin D, like higher doses of vitamin D and anything you would give a patient to prevent them getting infected, like to bolster their immune system.
Yeah,
So,
as well. Increases zinc, increased probiotic.
So
kind of
you're
the new,
talking about levels, vitamin D, like 50,000 units a day, and vitamin A, 100,000 units a day?
well, 50,000 units a day. I don't know. You want to get their vitamin D level up over 60, somewhere between 60 and 110, maybe. So, I mean, I'm talking, usually my patients will respond favorably with 20,000 units a day. I've never really had to go up to 50,000.
Hmm.
At
That's
50,000, usually that once a week.
that's the David Bronstein protocol.
Well, David, God bless his soul, he's an extremophile. So
Yeah.
I respect a lot of what he says, but I think he does it times 10, with his iodine recommendations and a few others. And I'm more of a moderate centerist. I'm like, sometimes too much of a good thing can be detrimental. So you have to be careful. But the thing is, the reference range that says if your vitamin D in your blood is 32, you're fine. Well, that's hopefully going to be changed. We're working with the Maha movement, and one of the things is to change some of these reference range to be more ideal for our patients to reduce chronic illness, not just keep you out of the range of some deficiencies like scurvy with your vitamin C. We want to give you a dose of vitamin C that will help prevent aberrancies in your health.
Mm.
So I know getting that vitamin D up, 10,000, 20,000. Some people absorb well, some don't. So you add in, some K2. If they're not on warfarin, that's safe to do. You're not going to cause anyone to clot up by adding that K2 D3 combination. And then, if there's some exposure in a household, I wouldn't think twice about starting monolaurin immediately. Maybe L-lysine, some of these other things that are used as antivirals, but certainly D and vitamin E.
And the vitamin A you can dose I would do 2 days only at like anywhere from 50,000 to maybe 100,000, 200,000. So quite high dose, but 2 days only. And then really support the immune system as you kind of titrate down. And think of like the really great strains of probiotic as well. Like Saccharomyces boulardii is a really useful one because it helps modulate the immune system. And also like Lactobacillus rhamnosus GG is another really good one. So you can get these single strain probiotics that are really helpful in lifting and supporting that immune system. And then all your bifidobacteria. And that could be really beneficial for children because again, they're fiber favoring bacteria, but they then train the immune system, which again, hugely important in this kind of case.
And I would also suggest adaptogenic herbs, singular or in combination. You can stack those. Like you can give eleuthero and rhodiola and ashwagandha at night. Just, realize that the adaptogenic herbs are helpful to help with the immune system. But so do things like low dose naltrexone with helping to modulate the immune system.
Thank you.
Oh, and also you can make a call for colostrum and transfer factor. It's a good time to be on it acutely. Anything else? Wanda, are you able to unshare your screen? Just so we can make sure we got everyone's faces. Thank you. We can get everyone's faces in gallery view. Chris, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't think so. That was an amazing presentation. Thank you.
Good, yeah. Okay, well, we'll wrap this up.
Let me ask one more question.
Sure.
What about gout? Is there a functional treatment for gout other than just using allopurinol and colchicine, or a way to actually abort the problem while they're actually creating too much uric acid?
Right. So you want to focus on the dietary intake of oxalates and anything that would cause an increase in uric acid. Hydration is very important. It's the dehydrated folks that have the uric acid crystals that will precipitate, I'm sorry, in a joint. So I know that from some experience, but anti-inflammatories, any of the whole number of anti-inflammatories you can use. I don't use allopurinol much, but I do use colchicine a good bit for acute treatment as well as, once daily or twice daily. It also happens to help with resistant spike protein, MCAS. It's a great anti-inflammatory. So I'm using it. It's an old drug, and it comes from a plant source originally. So that from a naturopathic perspective, Kristina, you have any other advice for natural remedies for gout?
Yeah, so hydration is huge. That's a big one. I actually really love recommending red light therapy. That can be really helpful. And even some sauna therapy if that's something that they can get access to. Could be the red light therapy in particular. There's some research coming around that can be really helpful. The reduction in oxalates, yes, initially I would look at that. but I would also really look at trying to build good gut bacteria. Often what we're finding and what a lot of the research is coming out around oxalate or oxalate degrading bacteria is that people are lacking that in their microbiome. And that's really plays a huge role in whether the body can break down oxalate-rich foods. Because a lot of foods are rich in oxalates, so it can be a tricky one for some people, particularly when their diet is already a little poor. I'm all about trying to see if we can add in more nutrition and really take out. So I would, maybe some guidance around what does an low oxalate diet look like, and maybe start, kind of slow and low, really increasing nutrition and hydration, and hydrating rich foods as well. Some people have issues actually holding on to water. So I
Over here. Come here, Brad.
recommend like a linseed tea as well. Add that in so that really binding and holding on to fluids a bit better is a really nice one. Looking at electrolytes, these sort of things. But hydration is a big one. And I love the red light therapy for many, many things.
Which bacteria are oxalate degrading?
So there's a group of bacteria called oxalate degrading bacteria. I have to
Okay.
the actual sort of the scientific name is, but
Okay.
some gut tests that will test whether you have this or not. And I will say most people on the test that get tested on, they come back with almost virtually nothing. It'll be so low, the extreme levels, which means that that bacteria is just non-existent. So we need to build up all the commensal bacteria through prebiotic fiber. So using non-fermentable fibers, like you can use an inulin, which can be a bit harsh for some people, but use a bit of moringa, maybe use a little bit of like a PHGG, which is a partially hydrolyzed agar gum. I think the sort of marketable name now is called sun fiber. So if you guys see that on the market, supplements, it's usually PHGG, which is a nice fiber supplement to kind of start with. So it helps that terrain to build the terrain, support the gut, and then you can use probiotics, single strain or spore-based strains in order to kind of build up the commensals. And we are seeing, and certainly with my own experience, is that they can tolerate oxalates a lot better once we support that gut. They might still be a little sensitive just because there is obviously some, there's genetic and sort of lifestyle factors that are involved here, but we're seeing that the gut has a huge role in how we break down oxalates.
Another thing, David, so in allopathic medicine, the go-to for a severe case of gout is prednisone. So corticosteroid therapy, we know how detrimental that can be, even in the short term with like psychosis and sleep disturbance and euphoria when not desired. And then long-term use, of course, has other untoward effects. But amloxanox is an agent FDA approved for canker sores and aphthous ulcers that is making its way into our armory of things to use for MCAS because it can take the place of H1, H2 blockers, MLK, montelukast, which is a leukotriene inhibitor, and high dose prednisone. So I'm weaning people off of their prednisone by using amloxanox. I start with 40. I can go BID, even TID at that dose, or go to 60. It's compounded, so you have to find a compounding pharmacy that stocks that powder. It's really readily available and it's not that expensive. And I'm finding it useful in helping people get off of prednisone. So if you're going to use prednisone on a patient for their gout, like say they have frequent gouty flare-ups, consider using amloxanox. And there was a paper that I co-authored with Brianna Gregory that made it into the first issue of the IMA's new journal.
I read
So,
that.
okay, so that's another option if you want to use a medicinal.
And methylene blue is also good for gout. It blocks uric acid crystal production and also helps detox uric acid from the body. So it can be used for like more long term, like to replace things like colchicine and stuff like that. So that's one that I use a lot.
And I haven't done this yet because I haven't seen a gout patient in quite a while in my private practice. In the ER, we would see two or three a week. but DMSO as a very potent anti-inflammatory. You can put it topically if they have the gout in their great toe. That'd be a good place to apply it, or if it's in their elbow or their wrist. And then you can use topical methylene blue, so you don't have to run out and check their G6PD levels if it's an acute situation. You can use topical methylene blue and then put the DMSO
Also on top of it. Yeah.
over it. Yeah, and it'll push it right in. Yeah.
Mhm.
Let's see. Wanda has a question about in red light therapy is great system. Something about pads. Oh, wrap them around the foot or ankle.
Yeah.
Lightsandhealth.com maybe is where you get
Yeah,
that, right?
I actually just bought a system. I vetted the system, got introduced to it at a health fair, and so far I've been using it for a few days and really love it. So, but it's pads, so you can wrap it around instead of like boxes or panels. So it's right on the skin,
Mhm.
and it doesn't get like super hot, like because I have different light boxes, and this one doesn't get like super hot. So
Okay.
So
All right, and I'll have to check my unless somebody here knows. I don't think Steffi's on today. Um, but the next our next master class, remember it's the second Wednesday of the month, and I'm not sure who's up for that lecture. But I know we've had them all booked out for the rest of the year already. I think we're going into 2026.
Wow.
It says
Anyway,
Dr. Gregory on peptides.
Dr. Gregory. Okay, Brianna on peptides. Right, right. So I actually took that lecture in already. It's great. I think it was with the concerned doctors, wasn't it? David, didn't you have her talk about?
We did have one. We also had a recent one on amlexinox.
Right.
I,
Okay.
I'm here. I think on my schedule, if I'm looking at it right, it's is it April 9th? Is that the next one? I think the chiropractors are coming back.
Oh, maybe.
Um,
I thought Brianna gave a lecture on peptides to us already, but
yeah, I have on my
She
schedule
did last month.
yeah, I
the
thought was
chiropractors are on April
oh
9th.
the Felix. You talking about Felix?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, awesome. Good deal. All right, well, we'll send reminders out to everyone, including the speakers.
So is this meeting just once a month now, or is it twice a month?
No, it's every other week.
Every other week? Okay,
We had to coordinate
great.
it with Chris co-hosts, and we had to coordinate it with his schedule.
Okay.
So we decided to make them a little longer instead of 30 minutes, maybe a full hour, and do mini lectures, but every other week, like the first and third, uh, or is it the second and fourth? I can't remember anyway, but the master class remains once a month on the second Wednesday. And I don't know how many folks are attending the IMA next month, April, first weekend in April in Atlanta. Should be pretty fascinating because they're expanding the list of things being lectured on. And
I wish we had a little more notice on that one.
yeah, I know it came quick. I mean, they kind of hemmed and hawed about whether they were going to do it or not, and when and where. But and they've picked some speakers, but they haven't really assigned lectures to those speakers yet, which is a little unnerving because I like to prepare.
so do I. Well, I know my lectures. So I've got pediatrics or children's health, and then I've got women's health, which is really exciting. So lots
Oh,
of
gotcha. Yeah, I'm still
Is-
waiting to.
be there,
Do you-
guys. Come
Do
say
you know
hi.
if there is CME associated with that?
No, not this year. What happened was, Avery Jackson and his company do assign CMEs, but they attacked because they were attacking FLCCC. They attacked Avery Jackson as well, and he had to pull back. There was like some major investigation by the board that actually substantiates or backs up his CMEs. You have to go through a university a medical school program or something. And so there was a lot of fire and heat. So the FLCC decided to just pull back instead of facing all that legal stuff. So I don't think this year it's gonna come with CMEs unless something's changed. I hadn't heard.
I'm gonna have to sign out.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, let's wrap up and we'll see you guys on the next program.
Guys, just really quickly, I put a link in the chat for if you guys want to buy loose leaf moringa leaves. There's a great company called Mountain Rose Herbs. They're really clean and lovely family-owned business, and they do lots of different types of herbs and adaptogens, powders, etc. So I put the link in there if you guys want to check it out.
And I'll also put the chat text that's in the chat. I'll put that on the invitation, the re-invitation. So look for that. Okay. All right. Good night, y'all.